Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Conference on Youth, Skill Development, Family Planning, Sexual and Reproductive Health, Population, Environment, Health, Well-being, Education, Employment and Sustainable Development 2024, commemorating and celebrating World Population Day 2024 and World Youth Skills Day 2024 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Arts, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's International Conference, celebrations and commemorations. Today, on occasion of World Population Day 2024 and also World Youth Skills Day 2024, on this occasion, we are organizing today and tomorrow 2 days international conference on youth skill development, family planning, sexual and reproductive health, population, environment, health, well-being, education, employment, and sustainable development 2024, and all the relevant themes which are related with the commemoration and celebrations of World Population Day related to population and World Youth Skills Day related to youth skill development and various topics like family planning, contraceptives and relations, parenting, and so on, which are related to all the above mentioned topics. So, in this regard, as we are organizing every day various events, creating awareness on various aspects, but not limited to United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and various daily, weekly, monthly, yearly commemorations and also decade commemorations and celebrations daily on various aspects in promoting United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. As part of the platform is dedicated to promote, to encourage, to motivate, and to support various research scholars who are students, research scholars, academicians, practitioners, and various organizations, workforce, and also general public who are interested in various such topics, and provided free opportunity for free registration for various events, including free participation and free presentations, and free e-certificates to all the eligible participants and presenters who complete their formalities as stated in the registration form and website, and also all the proceedings and eligible abstracts and full papers are to be published in the series publication. And we also offer free collaborations to eminent personalities, individuals, and professionals, and also to various organizations like institutes, colleges, schools, universities, professional organizations, councils, NGOs, for free, only to provide equal opportunities for everyone, leaving no one behind. So these series of events have been organized since couple of years, since pandemic. Even before, also we were organizing, but since pandemic, regular events have been organized on a daily basis, and this platform stands as one of the largest platforms that provides unlimited opportunities to various learners and experts to share their knowledge and expertise on this platform. To make it accessible to everyone, the platform has been kept free, and also as a great contribution from the like-minded members. We do not accept any funds or any sponsorships from any individual or any organizations, including public or private, including government or non-government organizations. And not only that, we have set a strict discipline formalities with high transparency, accountability in conducting various programs with credibility, with dedication, commitment, which has made this platform a unique platform. And has its own credibility in conducting such programs. So on this occasion, once again, we reiterate, and we express our heartfelt gratitude to all those who have been part of our fraternity on this platform, who have also become our family members on this platform, who have been constantly supporting us and contributing us in the form of participants and in the form of presenters and collaborators. Even for collaboration also, it is a free collaboration. No fees or no charges, no sponsorships are allowed. Only those who are committed genuinely in extending the services and taking various initiatives in promoting UN Sustainable Development Goals and working on similar lines of environment are accepted as collaborators and co-signatories. So on this occasion, we invite various presentations in the form of oral presentation, PPT presentation, poster presentation, or sharing of your observation, experiences, or expertise on various topics mentioned and are requested to register for both participation and presentation. And participate by following the instructions, like every participant or a presenter must register and then need to attend both the days or whichever day as per their feasibility, based on which they will be provided certificates upon completion of all the formalities as mentioned. So the basic formality for the certificate remains same almost for all the events conducted on this platform. First, you need to register. Then you need to attend on the Zoom platform. The same programs are streamed live on YouTube, which also serves as a recorded version of various events conducted, where you can watch them later and share with your friends and colleagues. And every day you need to register in the Zoom platform and also provide feedback in the Zoom platform through the registration forms, which are shared in the form of polls, by which your attendance for that day will be recorded. In a similar way, the registration form for the entire conference, irrespective of number of days, has to be filled and submitted. And at the end of the conference, overall feedback form in Google form format shall be shared, has to be filled both by presenters as well as participants to be eligible for the e-certificates. And for the presenters, they need to, apart from this, all these criteria, which is same for both participants and presenters, presenters have additional tasks to be completed. Once they register, they need to share the details as mentioned in the presentation guidelines and have to follow the guidelines while making presentations. And complete your presentations by joining on the days of conference or event at 6 o'clock and sharing their details in the chat box to the host requesting for the presentation. So based on the availability and based on the schedule, the organizer will be inviting the presenter to make presentation. So presentations will be allowed after daily commemorations, and all the presenters are requested to share their details once they join the conference on any day. And they are requested to complete as early as possible and not wait till the last day of presentation. So the format for sharing the details in the chat box has been displayed on the screen. The same has been circulated and also is available on the website. The presentation format guidelines have been provided on the website in the given link, which you can also see on the screen. And any queries related to e-certificates, you can visit the e-certificate support link, which is shared in the screen. And also, the links are also available on the registration form. Once you register, you will be getting a copy of your registration form in your inbox to your email address, where you have all the links related to the conference along with the joining details. So once you register, you will be receiving a copy of your registration data, and ensure that whatever forms you are filling it up are filled carefully with valid data, complete data. Then only the forms are considered for the registration. So ensure that all the forms you are filling up are completed or submitted with complete, valid, and correct data as requested on the registration forms. So completion of formalities is mandatory in time. All the formalities should be completed before the completion of or conclusion of conference or event. If any, maximum by the end of 24 hours of closure of the event or conference, seminar, whichever event it is. Only those will be eligible for the e-certificates. So kindly, we request everyone to strictly follow the guidelines, the formalities in presentation and participation as well, so that you will not face any difficulties in getting your certificates. All instructions are available on the website, clearly mentioned. Kindly go through the instructions. It is a one time, because these are conducted daily. You need not go read instructions daily. Once you read it, and they will remain valid along with some minor changes, if any. Most of the time, most of the things are same. So you'll be aware of what's to be done. Even in complete a gist of all the important links and instructions are available even on the screen, and that will be displayed whenever there is no presentation made, so that you are aware of various links and information. So now we request all the presenters to share, who have registered, to share their details in the chat box, so that we can invite one by one for your presentations. You can use the format which is shown on the screen to share your details. And tomorrow, those who are interested can register and share your details in the chat box and complete all the formalities mentioned, so that you are eligible for this certificate. So in the meanwhile, while the presenters share their details, we can go for the commemorations. Today, though the World Population Day has been commemorated and celebrated on 11th July. We also have celebrated and commemorated 11th July. But today, because that was a working day, and we also had a very short notice, short time, in fact, to make an announcement. So even this announcement was also very short. So we thought, no, we need to give ourselves enough time so that we can prepare ourselves to make presentations. So that's why, though it was a very short time, so we could float this conference details in our social media platforms. So whoever is interested can share your details. So that's why we have kept on this day, World Population Day, we are commemorating, and tomorrow will be commemorating World Youth Skill Development Day, that is celebrated on July 15th, that is tomorrow. So World Population Day is commemorated internationally with the theme to leave no one behind, count everyone. More than 40% of women around the world cannot make decisions on sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights. And as few as 1 in 4 women across low and middle income countries are realizing the desired fertility. A woman dies every 2 minutes due to pregnancy or childbirth, and in conflict settings, the number of deaths is as twice as high. Nearly 1/3 of women have experienced intimate partner violence, non-partner sexual violence, or both. Just 6 countries have 50% or more women in parliament. More than 2/3 of the 800 people globally who cannot read are women. So there is a lot of gender disparity, gender discrimination in coming to decision making, in reproductive health, in sexual health and reproductive rights. So over the past 3 decades, societies around the world have made remarkable progress in improving population data, gathering, analysis, and use. New population figures, disaggregated by age, ethnicity, gender, and other factors, now reflect the diversity of our societies more accurately. These advancements have significantly enhanced the delivery of healthcare globally, leading to substantial improvements in sexual and reproductive health and the ability to exercise rights and choices. Increasingly, new technologies are enabling more detailed and timely measurement of people's experiences than ever before. However, the most marginalized communities remain underrepresented in data, profoundly affecting their lives and well-being. World Population Day 2024 is a moment to ask who is going uncounted and why, and what this costs individuals, societies, and our global efforts to leave no one behind. It is also a moment for all of us to commit to doing more to ensure our global efforts to leave no one behind It is also a moment for all of us to commit to doing more to ensure that our data systems capture the full range of human diversity so that everyone is seen, can exercise their human rights, and can reach their full potential. To realize the rights and choices of those on the margins of our societies, we must count them because everyone counts. Our rich human tapestry is only as strong as its weakest thread. So when data and other systems work for those on the margins, they work for everyone. This is how we accelerate progress for all. The World Population Dashboard showcases global population data, including fertility rate, gender parity in school environment, enrollment, information on sexual and reproductive health, and much more. Together, these data shine a light on the health and rights of people around the world, especially women and young people. When we look at the world population trends, it took hundreds of thousands of years for the population to grow to 1 billion. Then, in just another 200 years or so, it grew sevenfold. In 2011, the global population reached the 7 billion mark. It stands at almost 7.9 billion in 2021, and it's exceeded to grow to around 8.5 billion in 2030, 9.7 billion in 2050, and 10.9 billion in 2100. The dramatic growth has been driven largely by increasing numbers of people surviving to reproductive age and has been accompanied by major changes in fertility rates, including urbanization, accelerating migration. These trends will have far-reaching implications for the generations to come. The recent past seen enormous changes in fertility rates and the life expectancy. In the early 1970s, women had on average 4.5 children each. By 2015, total fertility for the world has fallen to 2.5 children per woman. Meanwhile, average global lifespans have risen from 64.6 years in the early 1990s to 72.6 years in 2019. In addition, the world is seeing high levels of urbanization and accelerating migration. 2007 was the first year in which more people lived in urban areas than in rural areas. And by 2050, about 66% of the world population will be living in cities. These mega trends have far-reaching implications. They affect economic development, employment, income distribution, poverty, and social protections. They also affect efforts to ensure universal access to health care, education, housing, sanitation, water, food, and energy to more sustainably address the needs of individual policymakers must understand how many people are living on the planet, where they are, how old they are, and how many people will come after them. There are various global issues related to population. The dramatic growth of world's population has been driven largely by increasing numbers of people surviving to reproductive age and has been accompanied by major changes in fertility rates, increasing urbanization, and accelerating migration. These trends will have far-reaching implications for generations to come. The United Nations system has long been involved in addressing these complex, unrelated issues. Is it so? They are interrelated issues, notably through the work of UN Population Fund, UNFPA, and the UN Population Division of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs. The 2024 edition of the United Nations Population Fund's flagship report, The State of World's Population, titled Interwoven Lives, Threads of Hope, Ending Inequalities in Sexual and Reproductive Health and Rights, underscores the ongoing impact of racism, sexism, and other forms of discrimination, obstructing significant progress in sexual reproductive health for women and girls. The data are damning. Women and girls who are poor, belong to ethnic, racial, and indigenous minority groups, or are trapped in conflict settings, are more likely to die to lack of access to timely health care. The report calls for global action to dismantle unjust and discriminatory structures and prevent millions from realizing their full rights and potentials. When we talked about 8 billion population, today India surpasses China, and the India nation has world's largest population on the planet. Now, when we have the largest population, we have endless possibilities. At the same time, if not managed properly, we can also have endless challenges. So in this context, it is very important for everyone to be conscious, having conscious efforts in controlling the population. When we look at the background of World Population Day, which seeks to focus attention on the urgency and importance of population issues, which was established by then Governing Council of the United Nations Development Program in 1989, an outgrowth of the interest generated by the Day of 5 billion, which was observed on 11 July 1987. By resolution 45 by 216 of December 1990, the United Nations General Assembly decided to continue observing World Peace Day to enhance awareness of population issues, including their relations to the environment and development. The day was first marked on 11 July 1990 in more than 90 countries. Since then, a number of UNFPA country offices and other organizations and institutions commemorate World Population Day in partnership with governments and civil societies. The UN Population Division collaborates closely with the agencies, funds, programs, and bodies of United Nations system in the implementation of the work program on population and in the follow-up to the International Conference on Population and Development. United Nations missions, national government offices, United Nations offices, researchers, media, representatives, and the public regularly consult the Population Division regarding population estimates and projections, and information and analysis on population and development issues. At its 38th session, the Statistical Commission requested the United Nations Statistics Division and other international agencies to increase their technical assistance to national statistical data offices in order to strengthen national capacity for the implementation of the 2010 World Program on Population and Housing Census. In addition, the Commission requested countries to begin implementation of the revised principles and recommendations for population and housing census. UNFPA works with many partners both within and outside the United Nations system, including governments, non-governmental organizations, civil societies, faith-based organizations, religious leaders, and others to achieve its mission. To better respond to local needs, UNFPA. There are 9 standards to uphold the human rights to family planning, non-discrimination. Family planning information and services cannot be restricted on the basis of race, sex, language, religion, political affiliation, national origin, age, economic status, place of residence, disability status, marital status, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Countries must ensure that family planning commodities and services are accessible to everyone. Countries must ensure that family planning commodities and services are accessible to everyone. Acceptable. Contraceptive services and information must be provided in a dignified manner, respecting both modern medical ethics and the culture of those being accommodated. Good quality. Family planning information must be clearly communicated and scientifically accurate. Informed decision making. Every person must be empowered to make reproductive choices with full autonomy, free of pressure, coercion, or misrepresentation. Privacy and confidentiality. All individuals must enjoy the right to privacy when seeking family planning information and services. Participation. Countries have an obligation to ensure the active and informed participation of individuals in decisions that affect them, including health issues. Accountability. Health systems, education systems, leaders, and policymakers must be accountable to the people they serve in all efforts to realize the human rights to family planning. As the theme of this year's World Population Day reminds us, investing in data collection is important to understanding pop problems, tailoring solutions, and driving progress. So is finance. I urge countries to make the most of the Summit of Future this year to unleash affordable capital for sustainable development, as quoted by Antonio Guterres. As this year marks the 30th anniversary of the International Conference on Population and Development, ICPD program of action, it must also be the year we resolve to accelerate efforts and investments to turn its promises into reality. Central to the ICPD program of action is a recognition that women's sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights are cornerstones of sustainable development. In the decade since it was adopted, we have made progress. More women than ever have access to modern contraception. Maternal deaths have fallen 34% since in the decade since it was adopted, we have made progress. More women than ever have access to modern contraception. Maternal deaths have fallen 34% since the year 2000. The women's movements and civil society have been critical to driving change. But progress has been unequal and unsteady. It is outrageous that well into the 21st century, around 800 women die needlessly every day in pregnancy and childbirth. The vast majority in developing countries. And in some places, legislative advances in tackling vital issues such as female genital mutilation risk going into reverse. As a theme of this year's World Population Day reminds us, investing in data collection is important to understanding let's watch few videos.
Change in demographic research, partly because in the middle of the last century, data.
Something like 70 years ago, population was considered one of the biggest issues.
Demographers were well aware that following World War II, there would be a sort of explosion in the growth of the world's population, in part because of, well, really driven by the knowledge that had been developed about control of disease and keeping people alive and protecting them from premature death is, of course, one of the great accomplishments of the 20th century.
There have been huge changes, not only in population research, but in population dynamics. The world is so different from what it was just a few decades ago. It has been a demographic revolution.
When we sit down to look at the dynamics of population and demography in different parts of the world, the solutions are different depending on where you sit and what country we're talking about.
One of the major contributions from demographers and statisticians was to collect data.
The Population Commission was formed in 1946, in very early days of the United Nations, and the Population Division was created around the same time to support the work of the Commission.
If we recall that the very first session of the Commission on Population Development took place in 1947. Now it's a good 70 years has passed. We are marking the 70th year.
Dealing with these population issues was equal to dealing with development of the countries in the world. Dealing with population issues at the UN was extremely important in preparing our policies for the future. This is what UN does.
The peace and prosperity of mankind for generations to come depend to a great extent on the success of our effort to solve the population problem before the end of this century.
There was a big event in 1974. It was a World Population Conference in Bucharest, and there was discussion about population policy versus development policy, and the slogan it was development is the best contraceptive.
And after long debates, it was agreed that but also development affects population.
Certainly, the International Conference, Bucharest, Mexico City, Cairo, these were
of women.
Society even intention of ideas in position of one idea.
Cairo was a wonderful moment or a wonderful opportunity to have a gathering to discuss the new issues. And yes, it was quite successful. We had a series of important expert group meetings. We had a deep involvement of the regional commissions. It was a major activity involving the entire UN system.
It means human rights, women's status, urbanization, family, the situation of the family, access to contraception and reproductive health. A lot of dimensions.
Cairo, in many ways, shifted the focus even more toward individual concerns.
And they have brought perspectives that sometimes were not aired at the global level.
I believe that the issue of, for example, reproductive health was a matter that was not too openly, publicly discussed in the 40s. While these days we all understand the importance of a healthy population for a state, the state is ready to involve itself in the education process. This is a far more open process than it was before in the 40s.
That reality is so important in terms of not only understanding policy, but also programmatic action. So I would say we need to reduce maternal mortality by 50%, or we need to make sure that every woman, every girl, everywhere has access to information and services for family planning. We have to then ask ourselves, what does it mean in this particular context? Because every context is unique.
Over the past 70 years, Commission has been key platform for exchange views on population-related issues.
Its session, its interactive debates provides the platform for member states and for member states to share their experiences and their policies on the ground, success stories when it comes to national policies on topics relating to population and development.
The Commission plays a very important role because it has a solid technical background, but at the same time it's the space for this political negotiations, and this political negotiation is very complex.
You know, one of the interesting but also very challenging aspects of the Commission on Population and Development is that we deal with topics that are so fundamental. We deal with what are often referred to as the vital events: life, birth, death, marriage, migration. These are things that define the chapters in a person, in an individual's life, and there's a lot of meaning associated with them.
We have to consider issues in a holistic way, with a holistic approach. And I think that as we have more global view on these issues than before.
As I speak, I'm sure there are teleconferences going on between different parts of the world on specific issues. So that if, for example, and I will give you that, UNFPA is seized today by wanting to reduce the prevalence and the incidence of child marriage in the world. Now, of course, what we then do is to bring together our representatives in different parts of the world where this occurs. And we would then exchange ideas as to what's going on.
It's been important that countries and other participants, other stakeholders, acknowledge the differences of opinion that exist, the different cultural values, and have a respect for those differences, but at the same time to recognize that there are universal human rights, which are very important, which must be upheld in this setting, and the balance between those different perspectives and points of view is critical for the success of the Commission.
The UN still remains the key source of population data for the rest of the world, whether all the other agencies. This is one area where the UN leads. And I think we have a very, very big role in ensuring, in providing the evidence for policies to be made.
I think population research has, for the last few decades, been less than sheer numbers and more of analysis of the social and economic and cultural conditions around those numbers.
However, the challenge today is for them to align this work with the SDGs. As you know, SDGs are the defining framework that are going to really determine the course of development at the national as well as subnational levels, with increasing number of countries aligning their development policies with the SDGs.
The Commission in its 50th session will discuss an important topic relating to the changing population, age structures, and sustainable development, where we're going to look at different trends and different views, and it's an important opportunity for countries to come there and share their best practices and experiences.
When we talk about economic and sustainable development, we are talking about people. So the Commission will be at the forefront in the efforts to implement the Agenda 2030.
Population trends are some of the most powerful forces shaping development in the world. They really, in some ways, define the playing field on which this game is going to be played. It's really the starting point for any understanding of development processes, is to understand the number of people, the age distribution, the balance of men and women in different spheres.
Everybody needs to see population in a positive sense. And I believe that all of us have a responsibility to talk to policymakers to see population as an asset.
Underneath it all, there's a strong case for optimism, and there's a strong argument about the benefits of development for individual human beings. And I think it's very important for governments to understand the inevitability of some of the demographic changes that are taking place. All of these things have enormous implications for policy and for well-being. But if governments understand these trends and anticipate them, they can manage them well.
In 2022, the global population reached 8 billion because people are living longer, healthier lives. Yet alarmist rhetoric is circulating, often blaming fertility rates.
Poor people have too many children. Certain ethnicities have too many children.
Un faible taux de fécondité signifie qu'il n'y aura pas de renouvellement de la
Es
population.
necesario considerar limitar el número de niños.
Are there too many people? Too few? These are the wrong questions. Instead, we should ask whether women are able to make their own reproductive choices. The answer, often, is no. 44% of women can't make choices about their reproductive health, contraception, and whether to have sex.
Como mujer, me dijeron que no era natural para mí no querer tener hijos.
Due to very low fertility rates in my country, contraception is provided in a very negative manner.
Une femme doit souvent changer de trajectoire professionnelle lorsqu'elle veut un enfant.
Yo lloré por años.
Women are not machines for reproduction. Every person should be empowered to create the family and future of their choosing.
Toute personne a le droit de choisir de se marier ou d'avoir un enfant.
8 billion people can be equivalent to 8 billion opportunities.
To this end, we must take
When we look at the population statistics, and the population aged to 0.0 to 14 is around 25%. And the population aged between 15 to 64 is 65%. Population age 65 plus is 10%. The total population in millions being 8,190. Population annually doubling time in years in 2024, 77. Population age 0 to 14%, 2024, 25%. Population aged between 10 to 19% in 2024 is 16%. Population aged 10 to 24 percentage in 2024 is 24%. Population aged between 15 to 64 in percentage in 2024 is 65%. Population age 65 and older in percentage in 2024 is 10%. So total fertility rate for women in 2024 is 2.3. Life expectancy at birth in 2024 for male is 71 years, for female is 76 years. When we look at the sexual and reproductive health, maternal mortality rate or ratio, deaths per 1 lakh live births, stands at 223 in 2020. Births attended by skilled health professionals are 86% in 2020. Range of MMR uncertainty, UI 80%. Lower estimates in 2020 is 202. Range of MMR uncertainty, UI 80%. Upper estimate in 2020 stands at 220, 255. Laws and regulations that guarantee access to sexual and reproductive health care, information and education in 2022 is 76%. Number of new HIV infections of all ages per 1,000 uninfected population in 2022 is 0.2%. Universal health coverage, UHC service coverage index in 2021 is at 68%. The family planning proportion of demanded satisfied with modern methods, women aged between 15 to 49%, aged 15 to 49 in 2024 is 78%. Contraceptives prevalence rate, women aged 15 to 49, any method in 2024, all women 50%, married or in union women 65%. Contraceptive prevalence rate, women aged 15 to 49 in modern method in 2024, all women 46%, and married or in union women 59%. Unmet need for family planning rate among women aged 15 to 49 in 2024, all women 9%, married or in union women 11%. Proportion of demand satisfied with modern methods, women aged 15 to 49 in 2024 is 78%. When coming to education, total net enrollment rate is total net enrollment rate for primary education in 2020 is 91%. Total net enrollment rate in lower secondary education in 2020 is 85%. The total net enrollment rate upper secondary education in 2020 is 67%. Gender parity index total net enrollment rate primary education 2020 is 1. Gender parity index total net enrollment rate in lower secondary education in 2020 is 1. Gender parity index total net enrollment rate upper secondary education in 2020 is 1. So coming to gender rights and human capital, decision making on sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights in 2007 to 2022 is 56%. Adolescent birth rate, 1,000 girls aged between 15 to 19 in 2024 per 1,000 girls is 41%. Intimate partner violence past 12 months in 2018 was 13%. Decision making on women's own healthcare in between 2007 and 2022 is 75%. Decision making on contraceptive use in between 2007 and 2022 is 89%. Decision making on sexual intercourse in between 2007 and 2022 is 76%. Coming to harmful practices, child marriage by age 18 in between 2006 and 2023 stands at 19%. Female genital mutilation prevalence among girls aged 15 to 19%. 15 to 19 aged in 2000 since 2004 till 2022 is unreported. Of course, we have various statistics, but this is at global rate. When we look at more developed regions, there is high disparity among these ratios and percentages. So now we'll move on to presentations. Then we will further take up few more data regarding populations and its characteristics. So all the presenters are requested to share your details in the chat box so that we can invite you as per the order. So all the registered participants and presenters, kindly be conscious about the instructions being given, and presenters, especially those who are interested to make presentations, kindly after registering join every day of conference until you complete your sessions, and request in the chat box so that we can invite you and you can also complete your presentations. Don't lose the opportunity and complete all the formalities in time. So do we have Akanksha Saroj? You can raise your hand if you are there. Yeah, Hira Khan, you can share your complete details as per the format. Available on the screen if you have a presentation. So once you will be provided a co-host permission, and kindly ensure that you are not closing or opening any forms which are active, because all the participants who will be joining will have to register. So ensure that you are not closing any forms or opening any forms. You are limited to only unmute yourself, start your video, and start your presentations. Keep your presentation ready. All these instructions have been provided in the presentation guidelines. Kindly ensure that you are following them. And after completing your presentation, stop your presentation and wait for the organizers to provide their feedback, and also from the participants. Then you can unmute yourself and stop your video. So now we'll take up a presentation by Akanksha Saroj. Yeah, now you can unmute yourself, start your video and presentation with your introduction and following the presentation guidelines.
Okay,
You can start your video.
Good evening, everyone. I am Akansha Saroj, a research scholar from National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration. I would like to extend my deep gratitude to this platform for giving me such wonderful opportunity. And I would also like to thank my institute and my supervisor who had helped me to come this far. So I am going to present on the topic decentralized governance in education, case of India. To understand this, we need to understand few themes that are decent. What is decentralization? Why do we need decentralization? Then what is decentralized governance? And then finally, decentralized governance in education. So let's understand what is decentralization. Decentralization can be understood as a process or a state where there is a distribution or dispersion of power or responsibility to the lower level of authorities. It is mainly based on the principle of subsidiarity, which says that if the authority ruling is in closer proximity with the impacted area, then there is a greater efficiency and greater utilization of resources. Now, decentralization can take three forms, namely political decentralization, administrative decentralization, and fiscal decentralization. In political decentralization, there is a subnational government, which is elected by the local people. And then in administrative decentralization, the administrators present at the lowest strata are given autonomy to take decisions in their respected field. In fiscal decentralization, the authority has the power, the local authority has the power to levy and collect revenues from the people. Decentralization can happen in three ways, that are devolution, deconcentration, and delegation. So devolution is considered as the strongest form of decentralization, whereas deconcentration is the very weakest form of decentralization. In devolution, there is an actual distribution of power which strengthens the local authority to perform governance activity. in the delegation, there is a distribution of some specific activities that are to be looked by that delegate while making decision. Delegate is, they take decision on the behalf of the central authority, while in this deconcentration, there is a merely there is a dispersion of, there is a completion of task is given in deconcentration. Now, you must all be wondering that why do we even need decentralization? So India is a vast and very diverse country with a very huge population. And when we see this population, when there is a wide disparity in the popular demands and the government supply. As a solution, decentralization is sought. Now, let's come to decentralized governance. To understand decentralized governance, we need to understand governance first. So governance is an act of decision-making and implementation of that decision. And while this process is happening, there is an inclusion of formal and the informal actors in the governance process. And when we see decentralized governance together, it means that the lowest level of lowest possible authority that forms the governing unit. So governance in education mainly comprises of 4 components: educational policy, educational planning, education administration, and educational management. When we see decentralized governance in India, so there are evidences that decentralized governance in education field has already been existing in pre-colonial India and the post-colonial India. But it was in 1992 that the practice of decentralization was constitutionalized in 1992 through 73rd and 74th Amendment. And by this amendment, the first scheme, which was this district primary education program, through which there was the first decentralized planning happening in India, where the district was the main planning body. Now, later we see that coming up. Yes, sir.
Your slides are not changing, ma.
Oh, actually, sir, I'm explaining these themes. Then after I complete explaining these themes, I will change the slides.
Okay.
Okay, sir. So after district primary education program, we see coming of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, midday meal schemes, then Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, and in 2018, we see that all these schemes were compiled in one scheme along with the teacher education scheme into Samagra Shiksha scheme. Now, Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan is the most recent and the most developed, with a robust administrative structure that forms the part of decentralized governance in education. So if I talk about the administrative structure of Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, we see that there are multiple hierarchies at national, state, and district and sub-district levels, where the bottom level, at the ground level, there is a school management committee at school level, which is responsible for the formation of school development plan, which is a document that provides all the necessary things that a school needs to develop, or all the major things that are needed to be added or omitted in the school running programs. Now, the research question of this research question for this presentation is that to what extent decentralization is an effective way of governance in Indian educational system. And the rationale of the study is that the now decentralization is a dominant phenomena all across the world, and the decentralization is also being propagated by the multilateral institutions like World Bank. And decentralization is also sought as a solution to achieve education for all, and thus it makes the assessment of decentralization operationality very important for India. Coming to the research methodology, the research utilizes qualitative research method, majorly focusing on the secondary resources and available literatures on the themes and practices and the case studies related to the decentralized governance in education, with particular focus on India. And data analysis is majorly based on the interpretation of the available texts and practices in India. Now, coming to the discussions and findings. So, community participation is the core of decentralized planning, where students, parents, and teachers, and including principal, are the key performers, especially in who are major performers in formulation of the state school development plan, and thus very important part of decentralization governance in education. However, according to the 2011 census, the major chunk of population that was like 32.6% of the population was not even primary level educated. And then the elementary, secondary, and senior secondary were 25.2% educated, like only 25.2% of population were elementary level educated, and 15.7% of population was secondary level educated. And lastly, 8.6 were only, like they had complete school education. Now we see that the school management committee consists is a 16-member body where the two-third of the members consist of the parents. Now, the school management committee formation is the mandate in the government and the government aided school, where we see that the parents of majorly mainly socioeconomically backward classes and caste come and take admission. But if we see the functionality of these SMCs, we see that there is a huge gap in the ability for decision making by the parents, and there is a huge gap among the members, like principals, teachers, and parents, who can work together and make decisions. And sometimes parents are not even aware that they are members of SMC. And further, if we see that there is a lack of fund generation for the SMCs, and there is a very low level of administrative support for these SMCs, and there is a lack of transparency, etc. So by this, I would like to conclude that when we decentralize the authority of decision making, we also need to take care that the people involved in the decision making are capable enough to make the decision at the ground level, or it will just form a impoverished causal nexus, which will not only that will not form a better school development plan necessary for the school development. So one of the test study has shown that the intervention at the school level, where the Save the Child program has come to schools in 4 different states, Bihar, Telangana, Orissa, and Rajasthan, and they have trained the parents and teachers, and as a result, they were able to perform their function in a better way. Second thing is that capacity building programs for all the stakeholders involved in the formation of school development plan is very important. And lastly, that there needs to be empathy and understanding between the parents and school members in the SMCs, and also we also need some level of empathy from the administrators towards parents. With this, I end my presentation. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. In the meanwhile, we will continue with our commemoration. So in the meanwhile, you can share your details in the chat box, those who are willing to make presentations. So when we are talking about sexual and reproductive health, good sexual and reproductive health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being in all matters relating to the reproductive system. It implies that people are able to have a satisfying capability to reproduce and the freedom to decide if, when, and how often to do so. To maintain one's sexual and reproductive health, people need access to accurate information and the safe, effective, affordable, and acceptable contraception method of their choice. They must be informed and empowered to protect themselves from sexually transmitted infections. And when they decide to have children, women must have access to skilled healthcare providers and services that can help them have a fit pregnancy, safe birth, and healthy baby. Every individual has the right to make their own choices about their sexual and reproductive health. UNFPA, together with a wide range of partners, work toward the goal of universal access to sexual and reproductive health and rights, including family planning. So UNFPA, as mentioned earlier, have been playing active role in reproductive health and development, which works to ensure sexual and reproductive health and rights remain at very center of the development. The International Conference on Population and Development draws a clear connection between reproductive health, human rights, and sustainable development. When sexual and reproductive health needs are not met, individuals are deprived of the right to make crucial choices about their own bodies and futures, with a cascading impact on their families, welfare, and future generations. And because women bear children and also often bear the responsibility for nurturing them, sexual and reproductive health and rights issues cannot be separated from gender equality. Cumulatively, the denial of these rights exacerbates poverty and gender equality. There are few concerns. This is not seen most accurately in developing countries, where sexual and reproductive health problems are a leading cause of ill health and death for women and girls of childbearing age. Impoverished women suffer disproportionately from unintended pregnancies, unsafe abortion, maternal death and disability, sexually transmitted infections, STIs, gender-based violence, and other problems related to pregnancy and childbirth. Young people are also extremely vulnerable, often facing barriers to sexual and reproductive health, information, and care. Young people are disproportionately affected by HIV, for example, and every year millions of girls face unintended pregnancies, exposing them to risks during childbirth or unsafe abortions, and interfering with their ability to go to school. Adolescent sexual and reproductive health is therefore another important focus of UNFPA's work. UNFPA also works to prevent and address STIs, which take an enormous toll around the world. More than 1 million people acquire an STI every single day. Without diagnosis and treatment, some STIs such as HIV or syphilis can be fatal. STIs can also cause pregnancy-related complications, including stillbirth, congenital infections, sepsis, and neonatal death. STIs like human papilloma virus, HPV, can lead to pelvic inflammatory diseases, infertility, and cervical cancer, a major killer of women. Sexual and reproductive health is a lifetime concern for both men and women, from infancy to old age. Evidence shows that reproductive health in any of these life stages has a profound effect on one's health later in life. So UNFPA supports programs tailored to what people face at different times in their lives, including comprehensive sexuality education, family planning, preconception care, antenatal and safe delivery care, postnatal care, services to prevent sexually transmitted infections, including HIV, and services facilitating preventive screening, early diagnosis, and treatment of reproductive health illness, including breast and cervical cancer. To support sexual and reproductive health throughout the life cycle, services across a variety of sectors must be strengthened, from health including the health workforce to education systems, to even transport systems which are required to ensure healthcare is accessible, and all efforts to support sexual and reproductive health service delivery rely on skilled healthcare providers who can provide timely, high quality, and respectful care that is also affordable and accessible. Functional health infrastructure, integration with other services, and the availability of essential health supplies such as contraceptives, life-saving medicines, and basic medical equipment. UNFPA's work on improving sexual and reproductive health is a key effort towards achieving Sustainable Development Goal 3, which calls for good health and well-being. It also advanced Goal 5, which calls for gender equality, as well as many of the other goals included in 2030 agenda. UNFPA works with governments, other agencies, civil societies, and donors to develop comprehensive efforts to ensure universal access to sexual reproductive health care. UNFPA advocates for integrating the delivery of these services into primary health care so it is accessible as possible. This means, for instance, that a woman could address her family planning, antenatal care, HIV testing, and general health needs all in one place. So UNFPA is also working with governments and communities to strengthen the health systems, including supporting the implementation of reproductive health, programs improving the quality of reproductive health care, and strengthening of human resources. UNFPA also works to make sure reproductive health commodities are available where needed and that a functioning logistics system is in place. The Maternal Health Thematic Fund and the UNFPA supplies are just two examples of UNFPA's work in strengthening health systems and quality services. While strengthening national systems, the UNFPA also puts special emphasis on increasing access for disadvantaged groups, including young people, the urban poor, rural communities, indigenous populations, and women and girls with disabilities. For millions of young people around the world, the onset of adolescence brings not only changes to their bodies, but also new vulnerabilities to human rights abuses, particularly in arenas of sexuality, marriage, and childbearing. Millions of girls are coerced into unwanted sex or marriage, putting them at risk of unwanted pregnancies, unsafe abortions, sexually transmitted infections, STIs, including HIV, and dangerous childbirth. Adolescent boys are at risk as well. Young people, both boys and girls, are disproportionately affected by HIV. Yet, too many people, young people, face barriers to reproductive health information and care. Even those able to find accurate information about their health and rights may be unable to access them. So, adolescent sexual and reproductive health must be supported. This means providing access to comprehensive sexuality education, services to prevent, diagnose, and treat STIs, and counseling on family planning. It also means empowering young people to know and exercise their rights, including the right to delay marriage and the right to refuse unwanted sexual advances. Working with ministries, NGOs, and other partners, UNFPA also advocates for and supports the efficient delivery of a holistic youth-friendly healthcare package of services, which include universal access to accurate sexual and reproductive health information, a range of safe, affordable contraceptive methods, sensitive counseling, quality obstetric and antenatal care for all pregnant women and girls, and the prevention and management of sexually transmitted infections, including HIV. UNFPA also works to ensure health services and supportive programs are available to young people who are marginalized or hard to reach. Comprehensive sexuality education can be taught in school to students as part of the school curriculum or outside school curriculum in non-formal settings. It is the most effective when taught over several years by integrating age-appropriate information that accounts for the developing capacities of young people. It includes scientifically accurate information about human development, anatomy, and reproductive health, as well as information about contraception, childbirth, and sexually transmitted infections, including HIV. But it also goes beyond information, helping young people to explore and nurture positive values regarding their sexual and reproductive health and rights. This education includes discussion about family life, relationships, culture, and gender roles, and also addresses human rights, gender equality, bodily autonomy, and threats such as discrimination, sexual abuse, and violence. Comprehensive sexuality education should also recognize the unique needs of learners, especially vulnerable youth groups such as LGBTQIA+ youth, young people living with disabilities, young people in humanitarian settings, young people who use drugs, and those living with HIV, and should be tailored to reflect their realities. Taken together, these programs help young people develop self-esteem and life skills that encourage critical thinking, clear communication, responsible decision-making, and respectful empathic behavior. According to the UN International Technical Guidance on Sexuality Education, comprehensive sexuality education must be scientifically accurate, incremental, age and developmentally appropriate, curriculum-based, comprehensive, based on human rights approach, based on gender equality, cultural relevant, and context appropriate, transformative, able to help develop life skills needed to support healthy choices. Access to safe, voluntary family planning is a human right. Family planning is central to gender equality and women's empowerment. It is a key factor in reducing poverty. Yet in developing regions, an estimated 257 million who want to avoid pregnancy are not using safe and effective family planning methods, for reasons ranging from lack of access to information or services to lack of support from their partners or communities. This threatens their ability to build a better future for themselves, their families, and their communities. UNFPA works to support family planning by ensuring a steady, reliable supply of quality contraceptives, strengthening national health systems, advocating for policies supportive of family planning, and gathering data to support this work. UNFPA also provides global leadership in increasing access to family planning by convening partners, including governments, to develop evidence and policies, and by offering pragmatic, technical, and financial assistance to developing countries. According to the most recent data, approximately 800 women die every day from preventable causes related to pregnancy and childbirth. This is about 1 woman every 2 minutes. For every woman who dies between 20 and 30 will experience injuries, infections, or disabilities. Most of these deaths and injuries are entirely preventable. Making motherhood safer is a human rights imperative, and it is at the core of UNFPA's mandate. UNFPA works around the world with governments, health experts, and civil society to train health workers, improve availability of essential medicines and reproductive health services, strengthen health systems, and promote international maternal standards. The ICPD Program of Action offers a universally applicable roadmap to comprehensive sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights that has been further elaborated since 1994, including thorough follow-up commitments. The global health community has repeatedly reaffirmed that SRHR is a fundamental to health and underpins human well-being. SRHR today is widely understood as a core to sustainable development and appears prominently in the 2030 Agenda for the Sustainable Development adopted in 2015. Implementation of ICPD commitments have moved forward with impressive achievements in every part of the world, centered on people having services and information to make choices about their families and their own bodies. Much depends on environment fully conducive to the empowerment of women and girls and young people, where they live free from discriminatory barriers and have equal opportunities to thrive. In 2024, the 30th anniversary of the ICPD takes place at a moment of multiple crises, driven by the climate change as well as conflict and political polarization. Humanitarian emergencies have multiplied and intensified. Record numbers of people are on the move, pushed by armed conflict and natural disasters, and propelled by historic rates of urbanization, in a process that is reshaping entire societies. Demographic trends are diverging as never before. Some countries and regions are very young, while others are aging rapidly. The internet, artificial intelligence, AI, and other technologies have transformed every aspect of lives and human interaction, but also fanned frustrations and amplified divisions. While individual choices have grown, inequalities remain deeply rooted in social, economic, and political structures. Gender equality is still far away at current rates of progress. Deepening mistrust in education institutions have diminished social cohesion, while geopolitical tensions have weakened commitment to multilateralism. The United Nations Secretary General has highlighted mega trends laden with risk for the future of humanity. Yet, by thinking ahead, policymakers can steer choices today that mitigate risks, build resilience, and realize the ICPD promise of sustainable, people-centered development. Towards that end, where the world has come since the ICPD, what it needs to anticipate in the light of mega trends, and how these might affect SR's service demand and supply in the coming 30 years. In a context of complexity and rapid change, health policies guided by ICPD vision and values remain essential to realizing commitments to universal and comprehensive SRH care, as well as human rights and gender equality across the course of life. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations and sessions here, as we have already exceeded our time today. So tomorrow, we will continue with rest of the sessions and presentations. So those who have registered can continue making presentation. So we will conclude with last presentation. After this, so we'll take up the last presentation by presenters, and then we'll conclude today's sessions. So today we have with us Pradeep Yara. You can share your details in chat box. So you can now unmute yourself. You can start your video and presentation, if any.
Thank you, Ravindra sir, for giving the opportunity, and thanks a lot for explaining about ICPD, and also uh, on behalf of Sri Holistic Health Foundation, and also uh, myself, I welcome you all to this international webinar. So today I'm going to talk about the role of animal welfare and empowering youth. So we see that youth of our nation has a tremendous potential. They can see in diversified industries, and also the empowerment, and also in civil societies, and also philanthropies. So going on to the further, just a moment, I'm sharing my screen. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone. So since we are virtually connected, I can't see everyone, but if it is possible, if you can switch on the camera so that we can see each other, because uh, as globalization has increased and the world has become very small, and as a global village, so most of the time, so we are seeing in online. So if it is possible, we can't connect each other through offline, so it's possible you can switch on the cameras. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone. So this is presentation, the about title about role of animal welfare in empowering youth. Sir, my screen is visible, sir, Ravindra sir?
Yes, ma. You can make it full screen if possible.
1 moment, sir. I am getting this over thing, which is overlapping the this.
You can use F5, ma.
Yeah, okay, sir. Thank you.
Or you can continue if you are unable to share it in a full screen. No issues.
I hope now it is visible, sir.
Yes, ma. You can continue. Or you stopped sharing, or it got disconnected? Share it again, ma. Your Windows Explorer is visible. You can open your PPT and share, select that window.
Sorry, there is a technical disruption. One moment. Just 1 moment. I hope now my screen is visible to everyone. So,
Yes,
as I
ma'am.
mentioned, youth has ability to change the country developments or even the state development also. And here is a quote by Swami Vivekananda on the National Youth Day, as he rightly pointed that a brave, frank, clean-hearted, courageous, and aspiring youth is the only foundation on which the future nation can be built. As he rightly said that the youth has the aspirations and also the lot of ideas and ideologies, so that any of the industry or any of the philanthropy activities or any of the societal problems, they have the very good solutions for that. And now moving ahead, animal welfare. As animal welfare means, most of the people will think it as it is related to only the particular section of the society. Whereas the animal welfare it's a holistic approach. So it's a trifecta of women, youth, and also the animal welfare. So it actually empowers many lives. Let's see how it is. So animal welfare is often considered as a distinct cause, as I said you, and it is also similarly woven into the trifecta as an integral component of holistic positive change. Likewise, humans, animals are also sentient beings which can able to express their pain, emotions, and also, but maybe they can't able to speak like us, but they are very good at expressing their emotions. And as we see, are intertwined with the broader ecosystem, and their welfare becomes a reflection of their overall health and communities. Animal welfare needs only not the recognition of welfare of the animals. It is not only an ethical imperative, but is also a pragmatic consideration for public health and environmental sustainability. When we talk about public health, a good animal welfare practices will prevent us from various zoonotic infections like rabies and also Ebola and various other new emerging infections and re-emerging infections. It could be only possible if we can have a better animal welfare measures and vaccination programs and everything. And also the same way, if we have a conservation of animal species, so we can also conserve our environment, which is also responsible for environmental stewardship. Another areas where the youth can focus is fostering on social unity and compassion. Advocating for animal welfare is often a collective mission that unites individuals across various different spheres of a society. If we talk about, for example, in women, we talk about women empowerment. We always feel that educating a woman can change her life and also her family life. And also he can educate her children, and at the same time she can sustain and stand on her, she can lead her life independently, and like maybe they're getting a job, and also at the same time being an entrepreneur by providing a job employment opportunities to various sections of the society. In a similar fashion, advocating for animal welfare, it is also intersectionality the problem between human welfare, animal welfare, human welfare, and at the same time animal welfare, and also at the same time environment. And such unity is not merely about shared goals, but it is also a reflection of the foundation values. Likewise, when you talk about human values, we talk about ahimsa parma dharma. That means where we talk about how to be, like we need to be kind, we need to be compassionate, we need to be empathetic towards our humans, our fellow humans. But that is also reflected to the noiseless animals too. And it is also our responsibility when we talk about the Honorable Constitution of India, Article 51 AG, which states that it shall be the fundamental duty of every citizen to protect our lakes, rivers, and to have a compassion towards all living creatures. And communities that prioritize animal welfare are frequently more collaborative and experience lower rates of violence, because when we treat animals with empathetic value and kindness, at the same time there will be no violence towards animals. When there is no violence towards animals, at the same time we will be also kind towards humans as well. So this will have significantly reduces the lower rates of violence towards the society. And what is the role of youth in animal welfare, in creating that sustainable society, and also a empathetic society and a compassionate society? How can they be a part of the animal welfare? Youth can play a transformative change in the field of animal welfare by the following aspects. If many of the speakers are there and participants are there, if any of them are a professor, or if you are a student, you can create an animal welfare club in the academic arenas, which foster empathy and compassion towards animals in the academic institution. And at the same time, organizing awareness programs by inviting a diversified speakers in the field of animal welfare and environment. It can empower the students and creates a holistic development. And at the same time, they can be also be a torchbearer in terms of animals, protecting animals, and at the same time safeguarding the environment. Organizing pet adoption drives at the academic institution or in a community arenas, so that it also encourages homeless puppy adoption, which reduces the accidental death, and at the same time fosters compassion towards the homeless animals. Rescuing the sick and injured animals which are dire need of help. With the support of animal welfare organizations, youth can be also a part of it. Volunteer with animal welfare organizations, because as animal welfare organizations has a limited capacity, maybe the youth, especially the college students, they can come forward, they can volunteer. There are many arenas in the animal welfare organizations. You can be a volunteer in the administrative work, you can be a foster coordinator, you can be a rescue coordinator, you can also be a cruelty response officer. By assisting the cruelty response, you can be volunteer with that. You can also intern. There are n number of opportunities. There are plethora of opportunities in the animal welfare where the youth can play a significant role. And in the similar fashion, how they can contribute to the environmental sustainability. Animal welfare is closely also related with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, like Sustainable Development Goals, Goal 3, and also climate change, Sustainable Development for 14. And at the same time, we have the goal number 12, responsible consumption. So animal welfare and environment conservation are not different. They are intrinsically linked. Protecting our natural habitats because of the deforestation, at the same time mining activities, and also we have seen a lot of disruptive things in the number development. We are losing our precious natural habitats and biodiversity. So youth has a tremendous potential to explore in this area. You can do a lot of research activities, and at the same time there are many of the organizations like worldwide for WWF and also international organizations where they conduct citizen surveys, where you can also be a part of the citizen surveys to count the number of birds. Like you can be part of bird species, counting the number of bird species, and conducting the like reviving our natural heritage. And also there are many of the biodiversity hotspots which are being neglected, which once was flourished with flora and fauna, now has been which been neglected due to the industrialization and also the government or whatever it may be. Maybe you can go and conduct some research on that. You can bring a limelight to the government so that these historical sites and the biodiversity sites, they can be preserved, and where they can be for the future generations. And also the reviving these biodiversity hotspots will also bring back the flora and fauna, and also the migratory birds. Every year becomes a migratory birds to these hotspots, so they can also these birds can be reintroduced back to their the biodiversity hotspots. And ethical and sustainable farming practice. Nowadays we are seeing that food is becoming very like due to the mechanization and also the lack of standards. Most of the time food has been adulterated. So especially in industrial animal farming mechanisms, animals are now being treated as a commodity rather than living beings. So because of the lack of animal welfare measures, they are becoming a transmitter for various zoonotic infections, because long live transportation of animals, which causes lot of zoonotic diseases. At the same time, we can see the Amazon forest, much of the are called as lungs of today. It is facing a multitude of problems in terms of cattle ranching and also cutting of the forests. So forest fires and majority of the things which is happening because of lack of environmental practices and also proper animal welfare measures. So you can bring a change, being an ethical and sustainable farming mechanisms. Maybe you can be a plant-based entrepreneur. There are many of the organizations which provide a training for that. You can Google, if you can do a simple Google search, you can get a lot of information related to that. And this harmony between animal care and environmental stewardship leads to the healthier ecosystem, which is vital for human survival. Taking steps forward, advocacy and action. Advancing animal welfare requires a lot of dedication, advocacy, and actionable steps. It may be from rescuing animals or providing awareness, and also supporting various legislations, because India has got a very finite animal welfare laws, which has been introduced from 1960, in the year of 1960 by Rukmini Devi Adiyar, who is a classical dancer, which the bill has been introduced as a private member bill in the parliament. Today, there are many of the amendments which is being going on the animal welfare. Maybe you can also be, you can bring a policy change. You can be a part of the policy change that protects animals. And also at the same time, you can buy from ethical sources where every individual can contribute to this mission. Engaging local and community initiatives such as volunteering with animal welfare organizations. So simply, you can also at your home, you can adopt an animal, and promoting a responsible pet ownership by taking animal vaccinations and also taking a pet dog license, maybe by the municipal corporation or any animal welfare organization, which are tangible ways to participate and creating a world where the well-being of animals, humans, is valued and sustained. And finally, I would like to end this presentation by saying the quote, every individual can make a positive impact on all the lives of wildlife animals like elephants and also many of the, and also come to the range of the companion animals in birds. But it all starts with education, empathy, and taking action. I hope this presentation can make a meaningful difference. And also, when any professors are in the when your participants of your students, you can start even in your academic institution by starting a small club, which can be it's something like a dispersing a seed in the soil, but which will take a long time to grow. But the fruits are the whatever you are planting will definitely give a strength to the future generations, where you can make your academic institution a compassionate and empathetic towards animals, thereby promoting the principles of ahimsa. So with that, I am ending the presentation. Thank you, Ravindra sir, for giving the opportunity and always being an encourager for the youngsters. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pradeep. Very well presented, excellent presentation. This is, what the present youth has to focus along with various other aspects like health. Health doesn't mean just the health of an individual or just humans. It should be extended to plants and animals in achieving sustainable development. So hope you will take all the youth especially and the professors or the academicians or practitioners or even other professionals certainly, can initiate animal welfare clubs or environmental clubs or eco clubs, whatever nomenclature you are using, wherever there is an opportunity, even in communities also, not just limited to higher educational institutions, but you can also start in your own communities, neighborhoods, and even schools also. If you have any schools, you can extend this concept so that you can contribute in whatever way you can to animals and also to the nature.
Sir?
Yes, ma'am. So if any other participants have any queries, feel free to share your feedback through chat or raising your hand. Or you can share in chat box. Or you can raise your hand so that we can unmute you. Or even you can provide your feedback through the feedback form, which is being raised now. So thank you everyone once again for joining us, and we wish you a wonderful presentation by Pradeep. We wish you all the success for your future endeavors. Congratulations. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we wish all the presenters all the success in their future endeavors, and we thank all the participants for joining us today on the first day of International Conference. And tomorrow will be the last day, that is second day of International Conference. And those who are registered for their presentations have to complete their presentations tomorrow. Kindly everyone join, all the presenters join at 6 o'clock and share their details in the chat box irrespective of their time of presentation, so that we are aware that you are available and we can invite you whenever there is a presentation slots scheduled. So before leaving, we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, which has been raised in the form of polls. Now the feedback form has been raised. We request everyone, it is mandatory that you fill the registration form and feedback form every day in Zoom. It is not required to fill the Google registration form and feedback forms every day. That is only for once, irrespective of number of days. But every day, you have to fill the registration form and also provide the feedback form in the Zoom platform to be eligible for the certificate, and that marks your attendance. So make sure you are filling it up daily to be eligible for that day certificate. See, sometimes it happens, people do not register and directly join the meeting, join the conference. That's why to ensure that no one is left behind, so that everyone gets opportunity, because Google form, you can fill it up anytime. But these forms within the Zoom platform will be available only when meeting is happening. Once meeting is closed, you'll not be able to access it. So that's why it is very important that you fill both the forms that will mark your attendance to become eligible for the certificates. Ensure kindly go through the guidelines before joining, so that you are aware of what do's and don'ts, and accordingly you can participate and present to fulfill your requirements for e-certificates and also gain a lot of knowledge. Of course, e-certificate is optional. So even without e-certificates also, you can attend and gain lots of knowledge, and you can share lots of knowledge. So once again, we thank everyone for joining us. See you all tomorrow with the same joining link. The joining link will remain same for all the events on this platform. So you can join with the same link on any day, that is daily. So tomorrow also we have the second day of conference, it is last day of conference. And all those presenters who have registered but could not join today, join tomorrow and complete your presentations, as tomorrow is the last day of the 2 days conference. Thank you once again. Take care. Good night.